And farmers fear that the direction in which the reforms are happening are actually a direction of dismantling of the MSP.
So let's take a look at these 3 farming acts that sparked the protest. Each of them deregulates a different part of the system. The first act creates free, unregulated trade spaces outside the markets. The laws in these spaces would override wholesale market rules. And although a lot of trade takes place outside already, what happens in the markets remains a benchmark across the industry. But this act will create 2 parallel markets with very different rules, one with oversight and another that creates room for big corporate players to come in unregulated.
And in this dual market structure, the players in the regulated markets are bound to move out and operate in the deregulated spaces, and that is where farmers are going to lose out when these traditional spaces collapse onto themselves.
The second act creates a framework for contract farming deals. Any business agreements would be strictly between farmers and traders with little oversight, giving farmers few options to fight bad deals. As these agreements increase outside of wholesale markets, they could further fragment the market and leave small farmers dependent on terms set by big corporations or be cut out of the industry altogether.
ਉਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫੇਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਦਾ ਰੇਟ ਤੈਅ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਇਸ ਰੇਟ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਉਣਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਪੂਰੀ ਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ
Neoliberals be like, I don't understand. It seems like they're going to get priced out. Why are they constantly relying on government to back their dying industry? I see no problem with this.
ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਮੰਡੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਬਜ਼ਾ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਇਹ ਆਪ
ਮੰਡੀ ਆ ਜਾਏਗੀ तो वो हमारा वो सिस्टम खत्म हो जाएगा.
The third act affects a different part of the chain. It eliminates the storage limits previously set by the government to control prices. Unlimited storage means that anyone with enough money can stock up. The problem is, without oversight, they can also start dictating prices. Altogether, the 3 acts invite big players into a fragmented and deregulated market that could lead to volatile prices for farmers.
And by deregulating the market,
There will never be a deregulated market. The market will always be regulated by the biggest player. If it's not the government, it's going to be whatever the fucking big like agri companies are in India. They will set the prices for whatever you can fucking whatever they want to pay for it. Sounds like they're creating a vacuum for industrial farming to take over. Yes.
markets, the government has also put out a message in the same breath, essentially saying that they think farmers don't need any protection anymore from the government.
On June 3, 2020, when the government announced the farming reforms, it didn't take long for the impact to be felt on the ground. Wholesale markets around the country have already seen fewer crops arrive in their market yards. In the state of Madhya Pradesh, more than 40 markets have lost business.
Trading has moved out of regulated market spaces, and it is not as though good prices are being fetched by farmers. And this is the context in which farmers' anger has to be understood. They didn't get what they wanted, and what was thrust down upon them is very different from what they were asking for.
कि किसानों को इस कानून की ज़रूरत नहीं थी, इस कानून को रद्द किया जाए। और जो हमारी मीटिंगें हुई हमारे नेताओं की उनके साथ, उसमें वो एक बात बोलते हैं, वो छल करते हैं।
ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਸਿੱਖੀਆਂ ਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਗਾਂ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਲੜਨਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆ ਵਾਜਬ ਆ। ਇੱਕ ਚਿੜੀ ਆ, ਉਹਦਾ ਜੇਕਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਲਣਾ ਵੀ ਤੋੜਦਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਚਿੜੀ ਵੀ ਚੈਂ ਚੈਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਰੌਲਾ ਪਾਉਂਦੀ ਆ।
So who are the big players that are, I assume, pushing for this kind of deregulation in India? Because this video did not talk about it too much.
Lifelike scenes in the heart of
Also, so this is early stuff. This is just like a refresher. So it just background, Reliance, Adani, etc. No, not BJP and Modi. BJP and Modi doesn't deregulate the agricultural industry this way purely for fucking anger or spite. It's oftentimes done for a specific purpose, for larger players to move in and take over the market and start setting prices. So who is the person behind Modi or pushing Modi to take this sort of action? That's the real question. There's this Indian market near me taking donations and rational protests is pretty crazy. Have you talked about what is happening in Merrick Garland's confirmation? Ambani, owner of Reliance. Oh yeah, then Reliance, all Ambani business, and also Nestle. The Bharatiya Janata Party is pushing for it, and they asked the top companies like Reliance. I am from India. Hold on. My local pastor is doing the stimulus challenge where it challenges the church to donate their stimulus check to him. Okay, dude, stop. Let's keep going on this. So since then, protests heated up. I think, what was it? How many people have died so far? I believe like online districts or online access was suspended at least 14 of the 22 districts in the Haryana state near New Delhi until 5 p.m. This was back. I can't even fucking talk. Holy shit. This is from the latest info coming in from CNN, which I think this is from yesterday, but this is the fucking link that Rihanna posted that everybody got mad at. Got 253,000 retweets. They shut the fucking internet off? How is that legal? Yeah, the Kashmir region says hello. India fucking shuts off internet all the goddamn time. They do shit like that when they want to. It is entirely different. Their form of governance there is not like the United States. Anyway, internet access remained blocked on Monday. You need to look at why they're saying it's good from their perspective and debunk that, please. Look both sides. I mean, I can give you the both sides argument. The other side's argument is that this will be better for, this is fair pricing, that government intervention doesn't work, that this is too expensive of an endeavor, there's too much waste, and that, whoever the fucking big player is going to do a much better job. Look at how efficient it's going to be. And it will be efficient. It will be efficient in terms of rice or agricultural production. It'll be efficient in terms of distribution, but unfortunately, efficiency under capitalism does not mean what is the best for the people itself. So many farmers will be priced out. So many farmers will no longer be able to make money as a consequence of this. And we're talking, because it's fucking India, we're not talking like 50,000 people. We're talking 1 million people. We're talking 250,000 people. Do you understand? And then on top of that, this happens everywhere, by the way. Like, this isn't just a India issue. This is not an issue that is just in India. This happens everywhere around the world, where there is government regulation over. I mean, there is government control over a lot of the pricing, or at least like pricing subsidies are built into the pricing itself. There's different ways of influencing how agricultural production works. There's always some form of centralized planning for it. We do it here in the United States as well. But in the United States, like, it's completely already in the fucking hands of big business. Or not 250,000, 250 million. Sorry, I don't know why I said 1,000. In India, you got to fucking 100x everything. Or 1,000x everything. Yeah, they say everything's bigger in Texas, but everything's actually bigger in India. Even their fascism. 48-hour internet shutdown was also imposed on 3 other areas in the Delhi borders late on Friday, with India's Ministry of Home Affairs saying the move was in the interest of maintaining public safety and averting public emergency, like Robin Hood saying, this is in your interest not to be able to buy, artificially causing the price to fucking decrease of GME stocks. You know, it's in your best interest to not be able to tweet out when we're beating the shit out of your protesters. According to officials, those blackouts should have been lifted on Sunday night, but Ramjit Singh Katyal, a spokesperson for the Samyukta Kisan Morcha, an umbrella body representing protesting farmers, said the internet was still not working as of Monday. Demonstrators gathered at the Singhu border as farmer protests against new farm laws. Internet restrictions came after violent scenes last week as demonstrators continue against 3 agricultural laws passed in September. Since late November, hundreds of thousands of protesters were gathered on the outskirts of New Delhi to demonstrate against charges they say they weren't consulted on and which will hurt their livelihoods. On Tuesday last week, a national holiday known as Republic Day that marks the anniversary of the enactment of the country's constitution, thousands of protesters stormed New Delhi's historic Red Fort as police used tear gas and batons against the demonstrators. Dozens of officers were injured and one protester died when a tractor overturned during the protest near the New Delhi police headquarters. Police said Wednesday. More than 100 protesters are still missing, Samyukta Kisan Morcha said Sunday. An internet shutdown was also imposed in new areas. Darshan Pal, who is the SKM, a leader from SKM, condemned the internet shutdowns, calling the moves undemocratic. The government does not want the real facts to reach protesting farmers, nor their peaceful conduct to reach the world. It wants to spread its false spin around farmers. It is also fearful of the coordinated work of the farmers' unions across different protest sites, and it's trying to cut off communication between them. Communication means between them. By the way, a lot of these dudes are literal communists, for the record. For those of you who get triggered by the sight of like hammer and sickle and shit, like they are a part of the Communist Party. They are communists themselves. Like they are engaging in what a robust militant labor force would be able to do if they had the power to organize, which they do. Are you aware of the right-wing links between Trumpism, Modi, BJP, RSS? Yes, I am aware of the right-wing links between Modi and Donald Trump. Anyway, the government does not want that. Nevertheless, the farmers are still joining the protest. SKM's Katyal said Monday, typically the village groups work against each other, but this time they have all united for their collective fight. Additional Deputy Commissioner of Police in Delhi, Jitendra Meena, said police had deployed more force at the border. Although India is the world's most populous democracy, it also topped the world in terms of internet shutdowns in 2019. Of course, there was I mentioned this already, but there was a month-long internet blackout in Indian-controlled Kashmir after India rewrote the constitution to remove Kashmir's protected autonomy. Remember, we talked about this back when they made a move and literally turned around and they made a move and literally turned around and fucking arrested like the authorities there in Kashmir, like elected representatives in Kashmir. It's a classic fascist bullshit. It's very similar to what Bibi Netanyahu is doing. It's very similar to what Donald Trump tried to do. It's just that when you are a hyper militant fascist authoritarian leader, you have to unite against the common enemy and also continue to deregulate markets, continue to destroy labor unions, because this kind of shit can't happen, because you can't control when 250 million people get together and say fuck you, and we are not working, we are not striking. That same year, authorities shut down internet in other areas. We already talked about that. Approach is controversial. Controversial. On Saturday, Mandeep Punia, a freelance journalist covering the protest, was arrested on the border between Delhi and Haryana. Punia's lawyer, Akram Khan, told CNN Monday. Punia has been... this is what I remember. Yeah, Punia has been remanded to judicial custody for 14 days from Sunday, accused of obstructing a public servant from discharging his duty and voluntarily causing hurt and assault or criminal force to deter a public servant from duty. They were merely carrying out their journalistic duties, and another journalist was detained along him, but was released around midnight. Delhi's police Minya said Punya was not carrying an ID card when he was caught in a scuffle between villagers and protesters. Minya said Punya incited the farmers and pushed police. Devduta Mokhapadhyay of Internet Freedom Foundation said the government is using extremely draconian measures of internet suspension. Okay, it's not just the internet suspension that's a problem, though. Okay. We already talked about why the farmers are protesting. Punya got bail, but he fucking wrote all names and accounts of fellow farmers detained in jail on his fucking leg with a pen to write a report on it later. He's golden. For decades, the Indian government offered guaranteed prices. We talked about it already. There was a long-term certainty that, in theory, allowed them to make investments for the next crop cycle. The new rules allow farmers to sell their goods to anyone for any price, giving them more freedom to do things such as sell directly to buyers and not sell to other states. But farmers argue that the new rules will leave them worse off by making it easier for corporations to exploit agricultural workers and help big companies drive down prices. What is remarkable to me in this entire story, perhaps one of the most unique parts about this entire story, is the reality that the farmers themselves are very aware of the negative aspects of deregulation. Usually in America, you have workers and even, farmers like this oftentimes rail against government regulation and hate government regulation and say it's a big government overreach. It's the same mentality that Americans have about, like, I'm a worker. I don't really deserve this fucking $2,000 stimulus check. I shouldn't get it. Right? Whereas when you have labor organizing, when you have an opportunity to educate others, you can look beyond the immediate tangible benefits that you may get for the short term, like being able to sell to a private business that is going to pay a pretty penny up front and ahead of time, and remind yourself that the private business will fuck you over in the long term. You see what I'm saying? You can't do that, and you can't get so many people to organize without some sort of centralized command force, I guess. İstanbul'da gerçekleşen olaylara bakacak mısın? Baktım bile ona. I covered what's going on in Boğaziçi 2 days ago. But farmers argue that the new rules will leave them worse off by making it easier for corporations to exploit agricultural workers and help big companies drive down prices, which is exactly what's going to happen. They could sell crops at elevated prices if the demand is there. Conversely, they could struggle to meet the minimum price in years when there is too much supply in the market. The laws have been so contentious because agriculture is the primary source of livelihood for about 58% of India's 1.3 billion population. And farmers have been arguing for years to get the minimum guaranteed prices increased. They are the biggest voter bloc in the country, making farming a central political issue. The government held rounds of talks with leaders of more than 30 farmers unions that are opposed to the laws, but the talks have gone nowhere. As in, the government did not listen to the leaders of the farming unions. 58% of the country, 30 fucking farmers unions are able to mobilize, or more than that probably, but are able to mobilize 58% of the country. That's fucking insane. Well, not mobilize in the entirety of 58% of the country, but at least like 250 million people. What about the Gerudo Revolution? You cover it? Dude, come on. Don't make jokes. Is that a fucking Zelda reference, dude? I'm gonna get to Zelda in a little bit after this. Okay, chill. Last month, India's Supreme Court issued an order putting the 3 contentious farm laws on hold and ordered the formation of a 4-member mediation committee to help the parties negotiate. But farmer leaders have rejected any court-appointed mediation committee. Oh, at least 147. This was the number I was looking for. That's the reason why I clicked on this link. At least 147 farmers have died during the course of the months-long protest from a range of causes, including suicide, road accidents, and exposure to cold weather. And authorities, of course, have not given an official figure on protester deaths. But the fascist Indian party and the fascist Indian police are beating the fucking living shit out of protesters who are largely peaceful protesters. I'm assuming there is going to be, I'm sure this has already happened, but certainly there's got to be some fucking, there's got to be some kind of like movement that occurred that the government is using to justify violent action. By the way, I don't know if I can show this, Fizz. There's probably blood in this. Like, I'm sure something has already happened in which the government said, well, look, there's violence here. These guys are actually not peaceful. They're actually violent, to justify further beating the shit out of the protesters.
That the police did nothing to stop them.
हम यहाँ चुपचाप लंगर के सेवा कर रहे थे, लंगर पका रहे थे, सब्जी पका रहे थे। हमें नहीं पता उनकी भीड़, क्योंकि हम तो अपना काम कर रहे थे। जब हमने देखा भी पुलिस के साथ रलकर उन्होंने हमें 5 मिनट में ही ना उन्होंने यहाँ आ गए सीधा हमारे लंगर के सामने और पथराव शुरू कर दिया। हमारे लंगर के कोई 8-10 सेवादारों के सिर पर चोटें लगी हैं, किसी के पैर पे, किसी पे हाथ पे। हम तो शांतमय थे ना, हमें तो कोई हल्ला गुल्ला नहीं किया, लेकिन वो पुलिस के साथ रलकर उन्होंने पुलिस भी लागे उसके खड़के खुश हो रही थी और हमें पत्थर वो मार रहे थे, लेकिन हम शांतमय यहाँ अपना काम कर रहे थे। पुलिस ने अथरू गैस के गोले भी हमारे ऊपर दागे। शुरू भी उन्होंने किया और उनको कुछ नहीं किया और हमारे लोगों पर अथरू गैस के गोले छोड़े गए। और हम तुम देख सकते हो यहाँ पत्थर अभी भी पड़े हैं। ये पत्थर देखो वो गमला भी उन्होंने फूट का उधर से मारा जोर से, और छत के भी देखो कितने पत्थर पड़े हैं छत के ऊपर, वो देखो नीचे को पड़े, और उधर भी फटा पड़ा है, बहुत पत्थर है, ये भी बहुत जख्मी हुए पड़े हैं। और उधर हमारी रोटी पकाने वाली जो मशीन है उसको भी तोड़ फोड़ की है उन्होंने। आप बताओ हम क्या करें, हम शांत में धरना भी नहीं दे सकते।
Others who suffer.
I think these guys are class reductionists, Sweaty. It seems like they're not being patriotic enough by protesting the patriotic government. Time to cancel these farmers, dude.
Injuries recounted the events.
I'm
gonna write an article about the aggressive masculinity of Sikhs who don't shave, which is violence in and of itself, I think.
और उसके बाद पुलिस वालों ने पकड़ के लेके मेरे पास लाठी चार्ज की और मेरे इस निशान साहब ने जो मैं पहना हुआ है यहाँ पे कमर कसा और यहाँ में लाठी चार्ज हुई, मैं बच गया फिर भी। तो उसके बाद कुछ आगू गए मुझे छुड़ाने के लिए, मुझे छुड़ा के लाए हैं, ठीक है जी। बहुत शद्दरगीन ने मेरे पर फैंड चार्ज किए इन्होंने, और उसके बाद जिन्होंने आरएस वाले और बीजेपी मिले हुए थे और मेरा वीर है, इनके ऊपर भी पथराव हुआ।
Modi, the BJP, and the RSS declare anyone they don't like as anti-national. They've declared the majority Punjabi Sikh protesters as supporters of Khalistan, a separate state for Sikhs. The Islamophobia is also rampant in India, and the Indian equivalent of Groypers are incredibly racist and colorist towards South Indians. In many ways, Indian Chuds are far worse than American Chuds. Well, it's always, again, everything's bigger in India. It's always going to be on fucking steroids. Wait, do people actually think that? No, I was being sarcastic. I was just applying both lib reasoning as to why this is bad and then applying like conservative reasoning as to why it's bad. No one is talking about it because they are not farmers. They are terrorists who are trying to divide India so that China can take over our vulnerable, broken nation and make it a Chinese colony, much like USA. Sit down, you fool. We are not selling our nation like you dummies. Says Kangana Ranaut, artist. Oh, God. Alexa, play Diamonds by Rihanna. Oh yeah, Tatu. I took over my account in August last year before it was a team fan page. Bro. He's a crazy person. Tatu, shithead. Okay, I like that. She's a huge Bollywood actress. Dude. The problem with movements like this is that, like, good luck getting these dudes' point of view when the internet is fucking already blocked, when the most, like, forward-facing or outside-facing communication from India is going to be not coming from fucking farmers, but instead, you know, celebrities and shit that you have learned about or hear about. Especially in a country where there is gigantic income inequality, like India. You are only going to hear about it from shills for the BJP, and even like American Indian, some American Indian celebrities that talk about shit like this, oftentimes will take like a very, very pro-Modi approach, which is surprising to some. Wasn't it Priyanka Chopra who like literally fucking said during the Kashmir stuff? Yeah, Priyanka Chopra was like during the Kashmir stuff, like in support of Modi. Partially because they're dumb as fuck. And, I mean, think about it. Like, American celebrities aren't super well-versed in American politics. You know what I mean? Also, the notorious flag being raised clip wasn't actually a Khalistan flag, but, or is it Khalistan flag? What is its significance? Inspired by the idea of Khalistan, in reality, it was quite different. The original interpretation of the protesters' act comes from Bhagat Singh, the Sikh general who had hoisted a flag at Red Fort after emerging victorious in his conflict against Mughals. Like, why are they fucking triggered by this? Oh, because they're gonna run the separatist narrative. Okay, so this is what they will. So when protests like this happen, where people have legitimate grievances, those in control that are being protested against will find a way to dilute the movement and make it seem as though the people are acting out of some other reason beyond, like, literally, we need to continue to survive by farming. They will have to reframe it. It happens with the Black Lives Matter protests where they say, well, these guys actually just hate cops and they're violent terrorists. And in a similar capacity, I assume, part of the way to attack this protest is by saying this is actually a terrorist separatist group. It's the same protocol everywhere around the planet. The Indian media is the worst. Arnab Goswami, the Tucker Carlson of India, had his WhatsApp messages exposed, which proved he was framing his coverage purely based on directions from the Indian government. Nobody in the media talked about it. Yeah, the media is, again, both in America and also in every other fucking country of the planet, under a capitalist organization of the economy. The media absolutely works as the pillar that holds and normalizes government actions. They will justify it. They will. Everyone says their media is the worst. I mean, yeah, it's because media is relatively reactionary, depending on where you are, no matter what. Because their job isn't to be honest brokers of the truth. Their job is to uphold whatever the fucking truth that the current powerful people want you to believe is the truth. She's insane. I feel so elated. I don't remember being so happy, excited. The cancer in the body of this nation we were looking for has been located, identified, and now the process of eradication will start. Dude, yo, what the fuck? Yo, this happened during Kashmir too. I swear to God, bro. I don't know if it's like English as a second language shit, even though like Indian people are basically fucking first language English speakers too, as a consequence of colonialism. But whenever fucking Indian celebrities write about what's going on, it literally reads like, if you translated the German, it's just Nazi shit, straight up. Like straight the fuck up, dude. They literally every time I remember reading like Indian celebrities talking about Kashmir, and like the way that they were covering the eradication of the Muslim scourge is fucking nuts. It's the BJP cell script. Being a privileged Hindu from India, I can acknowledge that RSS and BJP have made it a living hell for the minorities, and any dissenting voice is considered anti-national. You need to have a look at Arnab Goswami. He is the worst clown in Indian media. It's all just garbage propaganda, and I assure you it's not a translation issue. Everyone is so aggressive about the way BJP exists in the country. It's sickening. No, my favorite thing was like they were doing the fucking like hyper militant, hyper nationalist like Israeli line of defense on India. When I tweeted about it a little bit, immediately, and again, this was back when I was covering the Kashmir stuff. Immediately, people that fucking retaliated were like, "Wow, your anti-Indian racism is showing right now." It's like, what? It's like immediately being like, oh, you're criticizing the IDF or the hyper militant, hyper nationalist actions of the Israeli government against Palestinians. You must be anti-Semitic. It's literally always the same. It's a BJP IT cell that has changed the atmosphere of the country. I'm from India, and before 2014, this wasn't rampant. India media is like American media. If every channel was Fox News and CNN was way smaller and even more establishment. So it's like Turkish media. Actually, Turkish media, I feel like it's changing. Also, ironically, the most left-leaning or the most liberal institution in Turkey is Fox News. I'm not even kidding. The Turkish Fox is like the most lib fucking outlet in Turkey. No, but like they're not the same Fox. Like they're not. Indian YouTube is worse, and they've aligned some of the content with Q2. Indians are super racist towards Indians. It's so insane to me. Almost like a fucking historic caste system drives a massive and well-identified and sometimes racialized. How else would I do it? A class system, but a caste system. It's literally called it. I don't know what else to. I don't know how to analogize caste system. You say the American racial hierarchy is reminiscent of a fucking caste system. So it's hard to use that as an analogy when that is the analogy that other people use. It's the caste system. Do you think Biden is going to listen to progressives and do things? What? No. How does the Indian socioeconomic structure compare to the American structure? Is one more underdeveloped than the other? Dude, yes. It's not even a question, dude. Like, again, every fucking thing that you experience in America is, again, on steroids. India is significantly less developed than the United States for obvious reasons. Again, colonization, colonialism, being a big burden kind of does that to a country. And also their geopolitical weaknesses. What do you think will be the biggest win if progressives get between this? I don't know. It's not just the caste system. There's plenty of different ethnicities in India, and there's a lot of resentment from places like Tamil Nadu towards the north because for decades the government tried to force Tamils to learn Hindi in school. The problem with that is enforcing other ethnicities to speak Hindi is another form of cultural supremacy from Hindi speakers as well. Yeah. Indian caste system is a fascist structure somewhat like what Hitler would have forced on Europe with Scandinavians at the top and Italians at the bottom, Slavs and such. Yeah. The untouchables would be, I guess, Jewish people and the disabled, and caste system is breed within the Hindu religion. Where I am from within India, most people do not even think about it. Funny though, like you mentioned, India is vastly underdeveloped, but their laborers seem to know their rights better. Well, it's a consequence of being vastly underdeveloped that their laborers seem to know their rights better because professional, like, there isn't as much impact through financialization of their marketplaces or financialization in general. There isn't as much an impact of professionalization of their labor force, I guess. Like, our labor force is completely fucking segregated. It's totally separate from one another. People live in islands. They don't recognize their fellow workers. They don't recognize that we all have the same fucking interests, and that we could unite along those lines. Whereas if you are literally a fucking farmer, and no matter what, even if you're competing with another farmer, you understand that, like, this is what you do, and it's going to be significantly worse if a corporation takes over the purchasing process. That's part of it. That's one theory as to why a second, like, red revolution might not ever happen in the world as it stands, because there is no, like, we don't have that same kind of labor organizing that was easy to create in a factory floor as in the aftermath of the Industrial Revolution. If it's so bad, why is the U.S. the strongest country in the world? Well, part of the reason why the United States is the strongest country in the world is because it keeps other countries down and ripe for exploitation. Another part of the reason why the United States is the strongest country in the world is, again, not necessarily the happiest country in the world, or rather the country that takes care of its citizens the most. The United States is not very good at that. That's why when I was covering West Virginia earlier, you saw people living in absolute, like, desolate, horrific conditions. So what good is being the strongest country in the world if you can't even take care of your own fucking citizens? What are you going to do, dude? You going to put that GDP in your ass? Huh? Can you eat your GDP, dude? Is that gonna put food on your table? No. Yo, let me rub some GDP on my fucking problems, dude. Yeah, I know. I got back pain. Maybe I'll just go through the MRI and I'll pay for the MRI bill, which is gonna be like $1,000, and even more than that if you're out of coverage with the GDP. I'll just rub it on the doctor's face. Yeah, you got back pain, bro? Just put some GDP on it. You'll be fine. School shooting happened again? Aw, dude, it's fine. GDP. Anyway. Why does everyone want to go to America then? Because if America is the fucking playground bully and literally beats the shit out of other countries and takes all of their resources, if you're from the other country, it's better to fucking try to get into the country with all the resources. Also, not everybody wants to come to America, dumbass. I did. I love America. That's why I'm here, despite the fact that so many conservatives consistently say, you fucking hate America, commie. Three ways the Indian government has suppressed Sikhs in Punjab. One, lost land. Punjab was reduced from 58,000 square miles to 19,000 square miles. Since 1947, the central Indian government has specifically attacked Sikh agricultural rights through lost resources. Today, Punjab's electricity and around 5 trillion gallons of water have been diverted to neighboring states. Lost life, 100 to 150,000 Sikhs have been killed in India through government-organized genocide, disappearances, and shootings. Holy shit. These farmer bills are a small part of a larger genocide against Punjabi Sikh culture. Stop vilifying the Sikh struggle to get approval from India and the West. Why do you love America if you disagree with its fundamental system of capitalism as well as its governmental system, not to mention historical aspects? Porn. Zaddy Daddy, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. This is a bit much. It's corruption, not genocide. I don't know, man. I think 100 to 150,000, regardless of India's size overall, is still pretty fucking genocidal. Hey, Sikhs, it's a bit much for you to consider 150,000 people, 150,000 of your people dying to be genocide. Sorry. You know, it's usually around the 200,000 range do we start to say, oh, yeah, it's genocide. The 1984 anti-Sikh riots alone accounted for the mass murder of Sikhs to the tune of 17,000. The 1980, can't believe I'm saying 1984, but yes, in the 1984. Okay, this is the last thing I want to watch on this.
For more than a month now, thousands of farmers have been protesting on the outskirts of the Indian capital, Delhi. The Singhu border has become the epicenter of the protests. Old and young, men.
Sorry, it's not riots. It is genocide. Tumba Man is correct. It's similar to what the fuck happened. Like, it's like saying, the bombing of Black Wall Street is just a race riot. It's not a fucking race riot. It is a targeted, deliberate, specific attack against a minority population, oftentimes led by or overlooked by the majority-run government.
And women who continue to brave the bitter cold and rain and refuse to back down. I am Rupa Jha, and I've come to spend a night at the Singhu border. I'm not here to debate the laws which have angered the farmers. I'm here to simply understand what keeps them going.
Islam it can't be a race, by the way. Half the chat thinks these dudes are Muslim. Just like, literally, they're like, oh, the fucking brown guy, beard, turban, Muslim, obviously, right?
Joginder Singh is a former soldier in the Indian Army. He says he is unfazed because he has fought battles in much harsher terrains.
हम तो बर्फ में 27 फुट की बर्फ में हिल साइड में भी रहे हैं, तो हमारे को तो ये ठंड ठुंड का कोई परवाह नहीं है, तो इसलिए हम यहाँ पर रह रहे हैं. जब तक हमारा हक नहीं मिलेगा हम वापस नहीं जाएंगे यहाँ से. हम लड़ नहीं हैं.
By the way, the 250K number comes from the numbers compiled by the Punjab State Magistracy and Human Rights Groups, and apparently reported in the book The Politics of Genocide by Inderjeet Singh Jaiji. I don't know if I'm saying it right, for that person who was wondering. I'm not like the most well versed on this, so I might be giving some information that is not fully accurate. So I have to, I feel like I need to read 11 books to be able to understand the nuance of this. So all I can do is interpret what is going on through the same lens that I analyze most news from.
सरकार से हमने लड़ना क्यों है? लड़ाई तो होती है दूसरे देशों के साथ. ये तो हमारी घरेलू है. ये तो हम अपना हक मांगने आए हैं किसान.
जो राजा होता है प्रजा का माँ बाप होता है सारी का, वो अपनी प्रजा को ऐसे सड़कों पे देखकर उसको दुख नहीं आता, वो राजा राज काबिल नहीं है.
In September last year, the government passed 3 farm laws that loosen rules on how crops are produced, stored, and sold. The laws allow private players a greater role, and that sparked farmers' fears that they will lose decades-old concessions and be left to fend for themselves at the mercy of the free market. So on 26 November, farmers from Punjab and Haryana
Thank you, Zaddy Daddy, for the 2021 gift
Delhi.
subs.
They clashed with police firing tear gas, but that did not stop them laying siege to the capital. Women too have joined the protests since then. Swanjeet is the first woman to have come from her village.
Roti looks fucking dank.
ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੱਕ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਣ, ਜੋ ਇਹ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਦ ਕਰਾ ਕੇ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਨਹੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਰਹਾਂਗੇ. ਡਰਨ ਵਾਲੀ ਕੌਮ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ.
अगर एक कोई दुआ, एक कोई बात जो आप चाहती हैं कि इस साल पूरी हो जाए, कौन सी मन्नत आप मांगेंगे?
ਸਾਰੇ ਆਪਦਾ ਜੋ ਲੈਣ ਆਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੱਕ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ. ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੁਣੂਗਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਦੁਆ, ਬਸ ਇਹੀ ਸੁਪਨਾ, ਹੋ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ.
Since November, the protest sites have turned into mini settlements. At Singhu, where I am, farmers wake up at the crack of dawn to prepare meals for themselves and all those who have gathered in support, regardless of religion, caste, or gender.
Bro, you still find a dude who's horny for
Entire
that.
families
It's
are part
wild.
of the protests.
It's
And
wild.
This includes
In the middle of all this, there's still a dude who's gonna gotchi hyper a bunch of fucking Sikh farmers showering in the river. Okay, remarkable the lengths that people will go to be horny.
the
Wild.
college-going children of farmers. Some of them say they are struggling to keep up with studies.
हमारा पहले खेती है, मेरे फादर साहब खेती करते हैं, इसीलिए पैसा आता है, इसीलिए वो मेरे को पढ़ा रहे हैं. अगर वो नहीं होगा तो कुछ भी नहीं होगा, इसीलिए हम यहाँ. दोस्त लोग जैसे मजाक भी उड़ाते थे, लेकिन अब वही सपोर्ट करते हैं, फ़ोन करके बोलते हैं कि आप अच्छा कर रहे हो, हमें गर्व है आप पे. सब अच्छा लगता है अब हमें भी कि समझ गए जो हम समझाना चाहते थे.
At Singhu, you keep hearing that it's not just a farmers' protest, that it's collective resistance.
सारी इंडिया के लिए सारे का सबका फायदा होना चाहिए. और हमारे कल्याण का तो कुछ नहीं, सारे एक एक का बन के 11 होते हैं, सब इकट्ठे हुए तभी ये हुआ है. कल्ले के तो बस की बात नहीं.
There have been reports of farmers dying during the protests. So, in honor of them, no celebrations were held on New Year's Eve. But protesters do have a wish list for 2021.
हर साल जब नया साल आता है हम कुछ ना कुछ उम्मीद रखते हैं ना, तो हम चाहते हैं कि इस साल जो नया साल है सब लोग खुश रहें उसमें, और जो किसी को कुछ चाहते हैं, उनके हक की लड़ाई जो लड़ रहे हैं लोग, उनको उनके हक मिले. हमारे विरासत में था, जैसा भारत सोचते थे कि सब खुशहाल हो, बेगमपुरा जहाँ पे कोई गम ना हो, वैसा भारत हम चाहते हैं.
What's the objection to the new laws just got here? It's forced deregulation by the government that is causing a lot of fear within the Indian farmer movement because they do not want big business to come in and dictate prices. Anyway, boys, it's ad time, but it's also time for another thing, and that other thing, of course, is but before we even get to the ad time, it's time for fucking Zelda, baby. Let's go. Let's do it. Everyone's talking about Indian politics, but not enough people are talking about Gerudo politics. And, oh, double audio. I know there's an echo. Before you start, I know there's an echo. I fixed it. Anyway, what did I do since then? Oh, I found the ancient horse armor. Wait. That teleports your horsey. And I found the ancient horse bridle, or whatever the thing is called, that also teleports your horsey, or makes your horsey stronger, more powerful. I've done a bunch of other... I've done more... What is this? What is this lady doing? Oh. What? Pog! A star fragment. Damn, she just flexed. She just said you're kind of weak. She said the excitement is faded. She said I'm short and look like a baby. Listen, Short King. Zelda is an incredibly important game, a masterpiece for many reasons, but most significantly, it is perhaps the greatest Short King representation you could ever get. He's stuck. Good boy. Come on, eat the apples. Oh, I unlocked the fucking shrine that I didn't finish as well, by the way. Where is it? For you guys, because it was a major... Yeah. I unlocked the shrine, I cleared out the sheep stealers, and now I unlocked this Chas Keta shrine, which is a major test of strength, so I didn't do it yet, because I wanted to wait for stream to do it. Every time I do something off stream, I'm like, fuck, man, I bet the stream would love this. Good boy. Oh, 100 rupees. Nice. Anyway, I have three right now. I might as well go do that Shrine of Strength. And then get 4, and then we will venture off into yonder. I also didn't unlock the horse fairy fountain on purpose. But I'll do the major. Yeah, the major test of strength. I'll do it. I'll do the major test of strength right now. And then after that, I will venture into Divine Beast territory, okay? Next Divine Beast time. How about that? You guys like that? Do the island after major test? What do you mean? The island is the major test. Major test of strength. What island? Oh, the bottom right island. Oh, there's another island down there. Oh, what's on that island? It's a mystery island. It has a special event tide. What is that? Oh, are there... Okay, well, I gotta pee. I got the Chad horse. I got the fat horse as well, but you can't put a fucking teleportation device on the Chad horse, so it doesn't come. But here, it's top of the hour every hour. It's time for a 60-second break. Right now, I gotta go pee, but you already know what the deal is, folks. You already know what the deal is. We're gonna do this. There's Gamba gonna... Gamba, get the Gambas ready. Get the Gambos ready. Get the fucking... Let the betting begin. I'm gonna go pee real quick. I'm gonna run the ad right now, and then after that, I'm gonna do this major test of strength, which is one of the harder bosses, if not one of the hardest bosses in the game, I think. So, we'll do it. Ah.